Welcome to Brain Booster, the podcast where we explore different topics to expand your knowledge and stimulate your mind. Today, we're going to take a closer look at the country of Egypt. Egypt is located in North Africa and is bordered by the Mediterranean Sea to the north, the Gaza Strip and Israel to the northeast, the Red Sea to the east, Sudan to the south, and Libya to the west. Its capital and largest city is Cairo, which is also the largest city in Africa and the Arab world. As of 2021, Egypt has a population of approximately 100 million people, making it the most populous country in Africa and the Arab world, as well as the 15th most populous country in the world. Politically, Egypt is a republic with a presidential system. The President of Egypt is the head of state and government and holds executive power. The President is also the Commander-in-Chief of the Egyptian Armed Forces. The government is also a semi-presidential republic, which means that the President shares executive power with the Prime Minister. The Parliament of Egypt is a unicameral legislature with 596 members, who are elected for a 5-year term. The judiciary is independent of the executive and the legislature, and the highest court of appeal is the Court of Cassation. Overall, Egypt has a complex political system and its political situation is varied. Egypt has been through many political changes in recent years, including the 2011 revolution and the 2013 coup d'état, and it's still changing. The ancient history of Egypt dates back to around 3100 BC, with the unification of Upper and Lower Egypt under the first pharaoh, Narmer. This marked the beginning of the Old Kingdom, a period known for the construction of the pyramids and the development of a centralized government. Middle Ages. After the collapse of the Old Kingdom, Egypt entered a period of political instability known as the First Intermediate Period. This was followed by the Middle Kingdom, a time of reunification, economic growth, and the construction of many new temples. The New Kingdom, which began around 1550 BC, is considered the golden age of ancient Egypt, marked by powerful pharaohs such as Tutankhamun and Ramses II, along with the construction of monumental buildings and temples. The Third Intermediate Period saw the rise of foreign powers in Egypt, including the Libyans and the Nubians. This period was marked by political instability and foreign invasions. The late period saw the rise of the Persians, leading to the eventual conquest of Egypt by Alexander the Great in 332 BC. After the conquest of Alexander the Great, Egypt became part of the Roman Empire. The Roman period saw the rise of Christianity in Egypt and the construction of many new churches and monasteries. The Byzantine period saw the decline of the Roman Empire and the rise of the Islamic Arab armies in 641 AD. The Islamic period saw the Arabization and Islamization of Egypt and the rise of the Islamic caliphates. This period is known for the construction of many mosques, madrasas and Islamic institutions, as well as the development of Islamic culture and civilization. The modern history of Egypt began with the arrival of the French and the British in 1798 and the subsequent colonization by the British. Egypt gained independence in 1922 and has since undergone a series of political and economic changes, including the rise of Pan-Arabism and the Nasser era, the peace treaty with Israel, and the current political situation. The culture of Egypt is a fascinating subject to explore as it is one of the oldest civilizations in the world and has a rich and diverse cultural heritage. From ancient art, architecture, and religion, to modern customs and traditions, Egypt's culture has had a lasting impact on the world. Egypt's art is particularly renowned, with a history dating back to the ancient pharaohs. Egyptian art was highly symbolic and was used to convey religious and political messages. From the famous paintings and reliefs in the tombs of the pharaohs to the intricate gold jewelry and sculptures, Egyptian art is a testament to the skill and creativity of the ancient Egyptians. The architecture of ancient Egypt is also noteworthy, with the pyramids being one of the most iconic structures in the world. The pyramids, along with the temples and tombs, demonstrate the advanced knowledge of engineering and mathematics of the ancient Egyptians. The architecture also had a symbolic meaning and was used to convey religious and political messages. Religion played a significant role in ancient Egyptian culture, with polytheism being the main religion. The gods and goddesses were central to the religious beliefs and practices of the ancient Egyptians, and their worship was an integral part of daily life. The pharaohs were considered to be both political and religious leaders, and the temples were the center of religious activity. It's important to learn about the culture of Egypt not only because of its historical significance, but also for the understanding of how different cultures have shaped the world we live in today. Understanding the culture of Egypt can give us a deeper understanding of the art, architecture, religion, and customs of a civilization that has had a lasting impact on the world. Art played an important role in ancient Egyptian culture, with various forms of art being developed over the centuries. This includes painting, sculpture, pottery, and jewelry. The ancient Egyptians used art to convey religious and political messages and to commemorate the dead. One of the most famous forms of art from ancient Egypt is tomb painting. The paintings found in the tombs of the pharaohs, such as those in the Valley of the Kings, provide a glimpse into the daily life, beliefs, and customs of the ancient Egyptians. The colors used in tomb painting were highly symbolic and were believed to have protective powers for the deceased. The tomb paintings also serve as a record of the pharaohs' accomplishments and the history of Egypt. Sculpture was also an important form of art in ancient Egypt. The sculptures were highly detailed and realistic, and were often used to depict the pharaohs and other important figures. They were also used to depict gods and goddesses, and were placed in temples and tombs. The most famous example of Egyptian sculpture is the Great Sphinx, which is a statue of a lion with a human head, and it's considered to be one of the largest statues in the world. Pottery was also an important form of art in ancient Egypt. The ancient Egyptians used pottery for a variety of purposes, including for storage, for offering to the gods, and for daily use. Pottery was also used to depict scenes from daily life and religious and mythological themes. Jewelry was also an important form of art in ancient Egypt. The ancient Egyptians used a wide variety of materials to make jewelry, including gold, silver, copper, and semi-precious stones. Jewelry was often used to depict gods and goddesses, and was believed to have protective powers. Ancient Egyptian art is renowned for its skill and creativity, and it's a testament to the civilization's rich cultural heritage. The art forms such as painting, sculpture, pottery, and jewelry were highly symbolic and were used to convey religious and political messages. Studying ancient Egyptian art can give us a deeper understanding of the culture, beliefs, and customs of this ancient civilization. Architecture played a significant role in ancient Egyptian culture, with the pyramids, temples, and tombs being some of the most iconic structures in the world. The ancient Egyptians demonstrated advanced knowledge of engineering and mathematics in their architectural structures. The architecture also had a symbolic meaning and was used to convey religious and political messages. The pyramids are the most famous and recognizable structures in ancient Egypt, with the Great Pyramid of Giza being the most famous of all. The pyramids were built during the Old Kingdom and were used as tombs for the pharaohs and their consorts. The pyramids were built as a symbol of the pharaoh's power and immortality and were believed to have protective powers for the deceased. Temples were also an important architectural structure in ancient Egypt. The temples were the center of religious activity and were built to honor the gods and goddesses. The temples were built in various styles, with the New Kingdom style being the most famous. The temples were often adorned with hieroglyphs and were believed to have protective powers. Tombs were also an important architectural structure in ancient Egypt. The tombs were built for the pharaohs and their consorts, and were used to commemorate the dead. The tombs were built in various styles, with the Old Kingdom style being the most famous. The tombs were often adorned with hieroglyphs and were believed to have protective powers for the deceased. Religion played a significant role in ancient Egyptian culture, with polytheism being the main religion. The gods and goddesses were central to the religious beliefs and practices of the ancient Egyptians, and their worship was an integral part of daily life. The ancient Egyptians worshipped a wide variety of gods and goddesses, each with their own specific responsibilities and roles. The gods were believed to have control over natural elements such as the sun, the Nile, and the sky. The goddesses were believed to be responsible for fertility and childbirth. The pharaohs were considered to be both political and religious leaders and were believed to be the intermediaries between the gods and the people. Temple complexes were the center of religious activity in ancient Egypt. The temples were built to honor the gods and goddesses, and were often adorned with hieroglyphs and were believed to have protective powers. The temples were also used for religious rituals and ceremonies, including offerings of food and other goods to the gods. The priests were responsible for the daily care of the gods, including performing rituals and making offerings. Religion played a significant role in ancient Egyptian culture, and the gods and goddesses were central to the religious beliefs and practices of the ancient Egyptians. The pharaohs were considered to be both political and religious leaders, and the temple complexes were the center of religious activity. Understanding the religion of ancient Egypt can give us a deeper understanding of the culture, beliefs, and customs of this ancient civilization. The daily life of ancient Egyptians was shaped by their culture, beliefs, and customs. Understanding the daily life of ancient Egyptians can give us a deeper understanding of the civilization's culture, beliefs, and customs. Food was an important part of daily life in ancient Egypt. The ancient Egyptians were primarily farmers and relied on the Nile for irrigation. The main crops were wheat and barley, which were used to make bread and beer. Fruit and vegetables were also an important part of their diet. The wealthy had access to a greater variety of food and ate meat, poultry, and fish. Clothing was also an important part of daily life in ancient Egypt. The ancient Egyptians wore light clothing made of linen, as the climate was hot and dry. The wealthy had access to a greater variety of clothing and often wore clothing made of finer linen. Jewelry was also an important part of ancient Egyptian clothing, and was often used to depict gods and goddesses. Customs were an important part of daily life in ancient Egypt. The ancient Egyptians had a strong sense of tradition and passed on customs from generation to generation. Customs were also an important part of religious beliefs and practices. The ancient Egyptians believed in the afterlife, and the customs of mummification and the construction of tombs were an important part of their beliefs. The social hierarchy in ancient Egypt was divided into three main classes: the pharaohs, the nobles, and the common people. The pharaohs were the highest class and were both political and religious leaders. The nobles were the next highest class and were responsible for the administration of the country. The common people were the lowest class and were responsible for farming and other manual labor. The social hierarchy influenced the daily lives of the ancient Egyptians in various ways. The pharaohs and nobles had access to a greater variety of food, clothing, and luxuries, while the common people had limited access to these resources. The pharaohs and nobles also had greater access to education and had more opportunities for advancement in their careers. The common people were responsible for farming and other manual labor, and their daily lives were focused on providing for their families. The social hierarchy also influenced the customs, beliefs, and practices of the ancient Egyptians, with the pharaohs and nobles having greater access to religious rituals and ceremonies. In conclusion, the daily life of ancient Egyptians was shaped by their culture, beliefs, and customs. Food, clothing, and customs were an important part of daily life, and the social hierarchy influenced the daily lives of the ancient Egyptians in various ways. Understanding the daily life of ancient Egyptians can give us a deeper understanding of the civilization's culture, beliefs, and customs. In modern times, Egypt has been a republic since 1953, after the Egyptian Revolution of 1952 led by Gamal Abdel Nasser. Egypt is currently a presidential republic, with Abdel Fattah el-Sisi being the current president. Egypt has been under the rule of the National Democratic Party since 2011. The country has a multi-party system, with the National Democratic Party being the dominant party. Economically, Egypt has a diverse economy with a mix of modern and traditional industries. The country is a major producer of oil and natural gas, and it also has a large agricultural sector. Tourism is also an important industry in Egypt, with the country's ancient sites, such as the pyramids, being major tourist attractions. Egypt plays a significant role in the region. It is a founding member of the United Nations and the Arab League. It has also played a major role in the Arab-Israeli conflict. Egypt has been a major mediator in the peace process and has historically been one of the most powerful countries in the region. In recent years, Egypt has faced some economic challenges, including high levels of inflation, unemployment, and poverty. The government has implemented a number of economic reforms to address these issues, including devaluing the currency, cutting subsidies, and implementing a value-added tax. These measures have led to some improvement in the economy, but the country continues to face economic challenges. Egypt is also facing political challenges, including a lack of political freedom and human rights issues. The government has been criticized for its crackdown on political opposition and civil society. There have been concerns about the state of press freedom in the country, and the government has been criticized for its treatment of journalists and human rights activists. Despite these challenges, Egypt remains an important country in the region, and it continues to play a significant role in regional politics and security. Egypt is a member of the African Union and the Non-Aligned Movement, and it continues to have a strong military, which is one of the largest in the region. The country is also a key player in the fight against terrorism, and it has been involved in various peacekeeping missions in the region. Tourism is an important industry in Egypt, with the country's ancient sites being major tourist attractions. The Pyramids of Giza, located on the outskirts of Cairo, are one of the most iconic and recognizable landmarks of ancient Egypt. The Great Pyramid of Giza, also known as the Pyramid of Khufu, is the oldest and largest of the three pyramids at Giza. It was built around 2560 BC and is considered one of the seven wonders of the world. The pyramids were built as tombs for the pharaohs and their consorts and were believed to have protective powers for the deceased. The pharaohs believed that by building these monumental tombs, they would ensure their protection in the afterlife. The pyramids were also believed to be a link between the pharaohs and the gods, and were often associated with the god Ra. The Great Pyramid of Giza is the largest of the three pyramids and is the only one of the seven wonders of the world that still stands today. The pyramid is 147 meters, 481 feet, high and covers an area of around 13 acres. Visitors can climb to the top of the pyramid for a panoramic view of the area, although this is not allowed anymore due to the restoration work on the pyramid and the danger of climbing. In conclusion, the Pyramids of Giza are one of the most iconic and recognizable landmarks of ancient Egypt. They were built as tombs for the pharaohs and their consorts and were believed to have protective powers for the deceased. The Great Pyramid of Giza is the oldest and largest of the three pyramids and is the only one of the seven wonders of the world that still stands today. Visitors can still have a panoramic view of the area, although climbing is not allowed anymore. The Sphinx is a large statue located near the Pyramids of Giza. It is a mythical creature with the body of a lion and the head of a human. It is believed to have been built during the reign of the pharaoh Khafra, around 2500 BC. The Sphinx is one of the most recognizable symbols of ancient Egypt and is a popular tourist destination. The Sphinx is a massive statue, measuring 73 meters, 240 feet, long and 20 meters, 66 feet, high. It is carved out of a single block of limestone and is believed to have been originally painted with vibrant colors. The Sphinx is also believed to have been once covered in a layer of stucco and then gilded, making it shine in the sun. The Sphinx is believed to have been built to guard the pyramids and to serve as a symbol of the pharaoh's power and authority. The pharaoh's head on the Sphinx was intended to represent the pharaoh's power, and the lion's body was intended to represent the pharaoh's strength. The Sphinx is also believed to have been a symbol of the pharaoh's connection to the gods. The Sphinx is a large statue located near the Pyramids of Giza. It is a mythical creature with the body of a lion and the head of a human. It is believed to have been built during the reign of the pharaoh Khafra. The Sphinx is one of the most recognizable symbols of ancient Egypt and is a popular tourist destination. It was built to guard the pyramids and to serve as a symbol of the pharaoh's power and authority. The Valley of the Kings is located on the west bank of the Nile in Thebes, which is now called Luxor. It is a significant historical site that contains more than 60 tombs, including the tomb of the famous pharaoh Tutankhamun. The tombs were built for the pharaohs and their consorts during the New Kingdom period and were believed to have protective powers for the deceased. The tombs in the Valley of the Kings were built to protect the pharaohs' mummies and their grave goods from grave robbers. They were also believed to provide a safe passage for the pharaohs to the afterlife. The tombs were decorated with hieroglyphs and paintings depicting scenes from Egyptian mythology, as well as images of the pharaohs and their consorts. The most famous tomb in the Valley of the Kings is the tomb of Tutankhamun. The tomb was discovered in 1922 by the archaeologist Howard Carter, and it contained the intact mummy of the pharaoh along with a wealth of grave goods. The discovery of the tomb of Tutankhamun was one of the most significant archaeological discoveries of the 20th century. Visitors to the Valley of the Kings can explore the tombs and see the well-preserved hieroglyphs and paintings. There are several tombs open for visitors, including the tomb of Tutankhamun, which offers a unique glimpse into the world of the pharaohs and their beliefs about the afterlife. The New Kingdom period, around 1400 BC, and it is dedicated to the god Amun-Re. The temple is famous for its large statues and hieroglyphs, as well as its impressive architecture. The temple is built on the east bank of the Nile and was once connected to the Temple of Karnak by a long avenue of sphinxes. The temple consists of two main courtyards. The first one is called the First Courtyard, and it contains several large statues of Ramses II. The second one is called the Second Courtyard, and it contains the sanctuary of Amun-Re. The temple also has a sacred lake, where the priests used to perform purification rituals. Luxor Temple is a significant historical site located in the city of Luxor. It was built during the New Kingdom period, around 1400 BC, and it is dedicated to the god Amun-Re. The temple is famous for its large statues and hieroglyphs, as well as its impressive architecture. The temple is built on the east bank of the Nile and was once connected to the Temple of Karnak by a long avenue of sphinxes. The temple consists of two main courtyards. The first one is called the First Courtyard, and it contains several large statues of Ramses II. The second one is called the Second Courtyard, and it contains the sanctuary of Amun-Re. The temple also has a sacred lake, where the priests used to perform purification rituals. The temple is also famous for its well-preserved hieroglyphs and carvings, which depict scenes from Egyptian mythology, as well as images of the pharaohs and their consorts. Some of the most notable features of the temple include the large statues of Ramses II, the sacred lake, and the hypostyle hall, which is a large hall with columns decorated with hieroglyphs. The Cairo Museum is one of the most important museums in the world and is home to the largest collection of ancient Egyptian artifacts. It is located in the heart of Cairo and has been open to the public since 1902. The museum contains over 120,000 artifacts, including many objects from the pharaonic period, as well as artifacts from the Islamic and Coptic periods. The museum is famous for its large collection of ancient Egyptian artifacts, including the famous Mask of Tutankhamun. The mask, which is made of gold and inlaid with precious stones, is one of the most recognizable symbols of ancient Egypt and is considered one of the most valuable artifacts in the world. The museum also contains many other objects from the pharaonic period, such as statues, jewelry, and pottery. The museum also contains a large collection of artifacts from the Islamic and Coptic periods, including manuscripts, textiles, and pottery. The museum also has a collection of mummies, which are well preserved and provide a glimpse into the lives of the ancient Egyptians. The Cairo Museum is one of the most important museums in the world and is home to the largest collection of ancient Egyptian artifacts. It contains over 120,000 artifacts, including the famous Mask of Tutankhamun and many other objects from the Pharaonic period, as well as artifacts from the Islamic and Coptic periods. The museum is a must-see destination for anyone interested in the history and culture of ancient Egypt. Egypt is famous for its beautiful beaches and luxurious resorts. Some of the most popular resort towns in Egypt include Hurghada, Sharm el-Sheikh, and Marsa Alam. These towns are located on the Red Sea coast and offer visitors a wide variety of activities such as swimming, snorkeling, and diving. The Red Sea is known for its clear waters and diverse marine life, making it a popular destination for scuba diving and snorkeling. For those interested in desert exploration, there are several tour operators that offer trips into the desert, such as camel safaris, jeep tours, and hot air balloon rides. These tours offer visitors the opportunity to see the natural beauty of the desert and learn about the Bedouin culture. In terms of cuisine, Egypt offers a diverse array of traditional dishes. The cuisine is heavily influenced by Middle Eastern and Mediterranean flavors. Some popular dishes include koshari, a dish made of lentils, rice, and pasta, kofta, a dish made of ground meat and spices, and fada, a dish made of bread, meat, and a spicy tomato sauce. Egypt is also famous for its street food, such as falafel and shawarma. The main airports in Egypt are Cairo International Airport and Hurghada International Airport, which are the main hubs for international flights. Many airlines offer direct flights to Egypt, making it easily accessible to travelers. In conclusion, Egypt offers a diverse range of activities and attractions for visitors. From the beautiful beaches and luxurious resorts of the Red Sea coast, to the natural beauty of the desert and the rich history of ancient Egypt. Visitors can enjoy scuba diving and snorkeling, desert exploration, and delicious traditional cuisine. And also, Egypt offers a diverse range of activities and attractions for visitors. From the beautiful beaches and luxurious resorts of the Red Sea coast, to the natural beauty of the desert and the rich history of ancient Egypt. Visitors can enjoy scuba diving and snorkeling, desert exploration, and delicious traditional cuisine. Egyptian cuisine is a rich and diverse blend of Middle Eastern and Mediterranean flavors. It is known for its use of herbs and spices, as well as its hearty and comforting dishes. Egyptian cuisine is a rich and diverse blend of various cultures and influences. One of the most popular dishes in Egypt is koshari, a street food made of lentils, rice, and pasta, topped with a spicy tomato sauce and fried onions. Kofta is another popular dish, made of ground meat, usually beef or lamb, mixed with spices and formed into balls or skewers. Fada is a traditional Egyptian dish made of layers of crispy bread, topped with a spicy meat sauce, chickpeas, and yogurt. Full medams, a staple dish of Egyptian cuisine, is made of cooked and mashed fava beans, traditionally served with a variety of toppings such as tomatoes, onions, and parsley. Malakia is a green leafy vegetable cooked with a flavorful broth, often served with chicken or rabbit. Shawarma and falafel are popular street foods in Egypt. The former is a wrap filled with marinated meat, and the latter is deep-fried balls made of ground chickpeas, often served in a pita bread with tahini sauce. Salab is a traditional Egyptian drink made from the root of the orchid plant, mixed with milk and sugar, and often served with cinnamon and nuts. Another popular Egyptian dish is kushari, a street food made of lentils, rice, and pasta, topped with a spicy tomato sauce and fried onions. It is a budget-friendly and filling dish that's enjoyed by locals and tourists alike. Meats are also an important part of Egyptian cuisine, and dishes like kofta, ground meat mixed with spices and formed into balls or skewers, and fada, a traditional Egyptian dish made of layers of crispy bread, topped with a spicy meat sauce, chickpeas, and yogurt, are quite popular. Egyptian cuisine also features a wide variety of seafood dishes, such as fried or grilled fish, octopus, and calamari. These dishes are often served with different types of dips and sauces, such as tahini and garlic. In terms of desserts, Egypt is famous for its sweets, such as basbousa, a semolina cake topped with syrup, amali, a bread pudding made with puff pastry, milk, and nuts, and kanafa, shredded phyllo dough filled with cream or cheese and topped with syrup. Overall, Egyptian cuisine is a delicious and unique blend of flavors and influences, from Mediterranean, Middle Eastern and African, and it's definitely worth trying for anyone visiting Egypt. In this podcast, we have explored the rich culture of Egypt, including its art, architecture, religion, and daily life. We discussed the history of Egypt, including the dynasties, pharaohs, and significant events. We also talked about the most popular tourist destinations in Egypt, such as the pyramids, the Sphinx, the Valley of the Kings, Luxor Temple, and Cairo Museum. Finally, we discussed the current political and economic situation in Egypt and its role in the region. We hope that this podcast has provided you with a deeper understanding and appreciation of the culture and history of Egypt. We encourage you to learn more about Egypt and to visit the country to experience its beauty and culture firsthand. Thank you for listening to the Brain Booster podcast. We hope you have enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and check out our other podcasts. Your support helps us to continue creating informative and engaging content.